Hey, I'm Tom. I'm a senior here at Gloucester High School, a PR officer for the music department, and now I'm the host of the GHS podcast, Fisherman Fridays. Hello, and welcome back to Fisherman Fridays. I'm your host, Tom, and today I am joined by co-hosts Martina Gallo, Mr. Fleury, and Mr. Ivan Demarjan. But today we have a very special guest, Mr. Fleury.
Oh, we got together with the Duke of Digits here up in the math department and assistant Docksiders director, Senior David DiPietro. Woo! Woo! Woo!
Mr. D, it's been quite a while since I've had an actual conversation with you. I believe before quarantine hit, actually.
I know, we were just talking about that before this happened. I think it was like we were in the hallway for I don't know.
2 seconds.
2 seconds.
Like,
We're like, yeah, here we go. And
yeah,
that's it. I know.
So it's good to actually be able to, even though it's behind a microphone, it's good to actually be able to sit down and have a real conversation for once.
We missed you. We missed you so much.
I miss you guys. I miss you all so much. It's don't get me started with that.
hopefully by next year it'll be back to normal where you can be part of the band.
I'm already looking forward to that.
For those of you that may not know, Mr. DiPietro, as I just said, is our assistant director for the Docksiders. And unfortunately, due to our schedule this year, he just hasn't had the time to be able to spend time with the band. And obviously we haven't had any outside school performances and concerts. So that's just this year.
Quite unfortunate.
But
however,
right. Let's do it.
This year, as bleak as some things may seem, it does happen to be the 20th anniversary of the Gloucester High School Docksiders.
Woo.
So that is absolutely insane. When Fleury told me that, I think like 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
That was actually crazy that we are here for that.
20 years.
So this whole episode is going to be themed around it. We're going to be talking about how each of us became involved with the Docksiders, our different perspectives and experiences on it, and we brought Mr. D here so he can be
the man who's
extra,
been through it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Longer than any of us.
Definitely.
I remember starting the Docksiders with Mr. D back in the day.
It was a fun
It was
time.
it was the best time.
Back when I was
When I had
negative
to
4.
start with that.
-4 in the year 2000. It was the 2000-2001 school year.
Yeah,
Yep.
it started in the year in the 2001-2000 school.
Okay.
2002 school year.
Okay.
Is how it started. Yeah.
Dang.
Gotcha.
What do you
Wow.
remember the month of which it became?
It was actually February.
February.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay, so we are actually pretty close to
You
So
were pretty
wait,
close.
February of 2001 or
Yeah.
February of 2002?
So we started in February of 2002.
So I'm older than the Docksiders. So.
Just
And I am,
slightly.
Wow.
I am very old.
Actually, no, I'm not. I don't know
I'm
what's
just
wrong with me. I was
extremely
born
old.
in December of 2002, so I'm just wrong and I don't know anything. Per usual.
Math
Killing
and
it,
stuff.
Tom.
Yeah. This is why I'm the host, because I'm just so great at doing everything.
Nailed it. So, I mean, I know for those of us that are in the Docksiders, most of us know somewhat of the origin story, but the reason Mr. DiPietro is here, part of the reason he's here is, we would love to know in the 20th anniversary, how did they come to be? What did the music department look like just before the Docksiders came to be? Tell us about it, Mr. D. Tell us the story.
I get to tell the story all over again. I
Oh,
don't know how many times I've told this story, but it's all right. It's a good story. So, so this year is actually my 21st year here. So when I first came, I was a volunteer in the department. I got to know the former director, whose name was Mr. David Adams. He was the one that is a big reason why we all have what we have at this point. And there were a couple other teachers that were also volunteers at the time. And, we at that time we had 50 members in the band. We had a marching band. We had a jazz band. It was a concert band. We had a percussion ensemble when it all first started. So, we had a pretty big department at the time, which was pretty good. And so, the first year was just more of like getting to know people, because you're the newbie, you don't really know people, you gotta fit in somehow. So everything seemed to be going well, but unfortunately the second year the department took a big hit, and we lost a lot of members, and it went down significantly. And so, unfortunately, by the middle of that year, sadly enough, they let go of the music teacher. And so Mr. Adams, because he had his background in music, he was like, because his daughter was a senior at the time, so she would have lost out in her last year, having any sort of music, as part of her life. And it was very significant for her. She was the drum major for the band, and she was very heavily involved, with all sorts of things with the department. So he was like, I want to be able to give something for her just to finish it off. And so, he was like, he came up with this whole idea of the stage band concept because, again, there wasn't that many people in the band to begin with, but at that time we had about 20 to 25 or something like that in the first year. And so a lot of people were excited about it, and it grew and it continued to grow. It was such a great experience, for everybody. But technically, he was supposed to end it that year. He was only going to do it for the rest of that year and then be done.
So the rest of the 01-02 school
Correct.
year?
That's
Okay.
all he was going to do. But Mr. Menezes, who was in that group,
Current director at O'Malley, by the way.
current director of O'Malley, wonderful player. I mean, I'm so proud of him. He is awesome. Like I've seen him grow.
He's pretty decent at the saxophone.
Yeah, he's fine.
Just a little.
He's like,
Yeah. Do I say Ivan's a little better? Can I say that?
Oh,
No.
I don't know.
I-
Can
Car-
I say that?
I hope he's
Mr.
not
Menezes, yeah, he's definitely watching. No, Mr. Menezes is
Yeah.
straight up the reason that I'm going to music school. Like he's the reason.
I will say, Ivan, every time I've seen you play, I see Mr. Menezes. Like I
Thank
can definitely see it.
I appreciate it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you
That
say
is-
thank?
Thank
Just
you.
one?
I said thank you.
No, it-
Oh, okay.
it-
I just heard the thank.
So Mr. Menezes and a couple of others had asked him, would you mind continuing? And he thought about it, and with a lot of coaxing from his two daughters, they were like, yeah, you better go back there and just do it because I think you're going to disappoint a lot of people. So luckily enough, he came back, and then that's when everything really took to shape. These are new vests, but the old vests were actually all handmade by his wife.
Oh, wow.
She actually made every single one.
Dedication.
Yeah,
They're still here.
They're still there. I mean, I still have my original, and it's pretty special. Like just knowing that those things like these, the vest and the ties and everything were real. In the beginning, were really hard for people to take in because they were like, this looks weird. Why would you wear something like this? But of course, as time went on, it became the real status symbol, and people who were looking at the Docksiders like, I can't wait to wear that. I can't wait to, be a part of that and experience, what this is all about. Because, schools have jazz bands. I mean, because my school, we had a typical jazz band, and I was very happy with it. But there's been something to this that I kind of wish I had when I was in school, because it's just so, it's very unique. It's so different, but it's, there's so many great things that have come out of it, and the people that have gone through it, like all the students that have been involved with it have just been just tremendous, and it's like I can start naming as many people as I want through it, but every single person that's come through this has been absolutely amazing. And it's like I said, it's because of what this has brought to not just the school, but this community has been absolutely phenomenal. And I'm really glad that I got to be a part of that too. As my assistant directorship, it's like I've been very happy being in that role, and I just want to continue to be in that role because I try to provide as much as I can to the three directors that have been with us. Mr. Adams being the first, Mr. Staluppi, who was the second, who lasted 1 year, and then of course now the ever popular Mr. Fleury.
Ever popular.
The ever popular Mr.
I don't know
Fleury
about
is
that.
here, and
I don't know how popular I am.
he is. He just doesn't realize it. So. But all in all, like it's just been a great 20 years, and I hope that when we can finally get back together and play, we bring everybody back. That I hope everybody will come and just have a great time going back and reminiscing and playing some of the music that has come through this. So it's been great, and I got, believe me, many memories, many stories to tell you. So whatever you want to know, I'm more than willing to say it. So
I'm sorry to sideline it,
no,
but I'm just thinking, because you brought up the fact that it is the 20th anniversary again.
yeah,
I don't know why I thought for a moment that I was older than the Docksiders.
'Cause you're
I'm
not.
I'm 18,
You're 18.
and it's 20. But I mean, you're a math teacher, so
Yeah.
I'm sure when I
20
said that,
is
you're
great.
probably like,
Yes.
I don't know about that, and you just let me live in my own delusion for a moment there. But yeah.
So my perspective on the last, this is my 5th year, so I've been here for a quarter of the Docksider life. The first thing I learned, so I am good friends with Mr. Staluppi, who is here for a year. And when we spoke about this job and the band and all that, he talked about how much of a community presence the group already had, even being 15 years old at the time. And amongst the school, it was one of the more well-known and popular student activities. So that right away, I was like, oh, that's pretty sick that the jazz band is that well-known in the city. So that already was pretty great to me to know. So like coming in, I was like, man, okay, it's going to be a hip time. Coming here and then getting acquainted and getting acclimated to the school, it was pretty clear that like, man, people and Mr. Adams wanted to get this group out in the community and playing and giving as many concerts as possible. And it was very apparent that they were playing like once a month.
mm-hmm.
A lot of the time, which to me as a traditional, I know Mr. Adams didn't come from an educational background, which there's nothing wrong with that at all, but coming from a traditional music education background, I was like, wow, one concert a month, that is so much.
He did get a degree in music ed. He did.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. But
My apologies.
No,
Mr.
no,
Adams,
no.
if you're watching, I didn't know that.
no. I mean, but I think his whole philosophy, just centering on what you're saying, like his whole philosophy was about how much could I just have these kids enjoy music? So how much, to making sure that everybody was able to play and, to sound good was obviously the most important, but he just really wanted an outlet for kids to like, I want you to go out and enjoy playing. I want you to have a good time, play hard, make sure you're playing so that you sound good and you look good. Every little detail with him, it was, everything has to be right. And so even when it comes to the music and the playing, it's like everything has to be very detailed and structured, and that's why it worked. But being out in the community and playing was, no matter where we've been, no matter what concerts, whatever, it's always been about being here in this community is first and foremost. Playing for Gloucester has been always the most important and the best performances we've ever had. So, I mean, I think that's why, he just wanted to play, and I think there's anything wrong with that. And I think that every member who's come through can say, like, that's pretty weird and that's pretty great to know that, wow, we'd be able to play as much as we have.
Right, and that is something I didn't want to quash when I came here. I was hoping to, so coming from a background where my high school jazz band, we would play like maybe 6 tunes every 4 or 5 months or so. So we would have like 2 or 3 major concerts a year and go to a festival or 2. Here, it was like we have 3 days of band camp and then you play a feature-length concert at, oh my God, we haven't done it for a couple of years. Just before Labor Day.
The block party?
The block party.
Thank you. Yeah, and we would play like 10 or 12 tunes at the block party after 3 days. I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
And I know I think, was it your freshman year that
We
was the
did
last
that
time we did
freshman
that?
Yeah.
It was, I imagine it was very intimidating to do
Very.
I don't know if you remember this. So that year I was a CIT at the camp that I now work at, which basically meant I gave them money to do labor.
that. Good times.
No bad blood. It was actually very enjoyable. It's just kind of funny when you think about it. But I somehow just didn't know that band camp was happening until the second day. So my parents were mad at me and also panicking. And they were like, now the band director's going to hate you. And I was like, cool. Awesome.
I don't remember hating you.
Yeah, I don't think.
That's a good
I think
sign.
you're good.
Awesome. Good to know. So I come in and it gets worse. because I come in
Here we go.
and in 8th grade I had yet to see Mr. Fleury. I had yet to see his
right.
face and know what he looked like, right? But the only person I had seen was Mr. D. So in my mind, I was like, this is Mr. Fleury, and then this is someone else. so I walk in late. I walk in late. Yeah, I walk in late to O'Malley because they were doing the roof.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
we couldn't be
Right.
here.
That's right.
The only two people in the room were Rose DeGrange and Christian, and they were both milling about doing like their own thing. And I just walk right in, and I walk right up to you, and I go, "Hi, Mr. Fleury. I'm Tom." And then you go, "I'm not Mr. Fleury. This is Mr. Fleury, but it's nice to meet you." And I was like, "Awesome."
Such a solid start.
Yeah, from the very beginning of my high school career, I've been doing just so good at everything.
Yeah, so for my first year or so, it was very much a shock factor of like how much the band was playing, and it was very much from what I understood, it was a lot of concerts playing a lot of similar music, which is not a bad thing. Gigging bands do it all the time. My approach and my kind of philosophy of a high school jazz band is very much kind of that, but mixed with you're doing new stuff as well. Because one of the things when I came here was that there was a book of tunes, and it was like maybe 40 or 50 songs that the band was pretty well known for. And I kept some of them around. We wanted to do some still. But I also wanted to introduce people to new rep. I was trying to introduce new music while still mixing in with some of the old, and I definitely wanted to do a lot of the usual concerts. Fall Coffee House, wine and beer tasting that we do at the Gloucester House is always a good time. We were doing the swing dance in May. Bunch of other, and the usual holiday concerts and other springtime events, arts festival, Mill Street Walk. Oh my goodness, there's just so many.
Can we talk about real quick the wine and beer tasting, since it would have been like yesterday usually, or
it
sometime
would
around.
have been
that's
like
right.
this coming weekend.
Yeah, I was
I-
getting
Right.
memories on Snapchat of
Yeah,
that.
same. And it's so here's the thing, right?
It was a
Everyone.
fundraiser, by the way, in case anybody was wondering. It was a fundraiser for the band.
Yeah.
It was an adults-only thing, and when there was no more alcohol, the band played, just in case anybody's
Right.
But
worried.
if you're curious where we are while the alcohol's there,
It's
You're
a
not
thing.
anywhere close.
we get put in the attic.
Yep.
No,
Locked
okay,
in.
it's not as bad as it sounds.
Sure.
But it is cold and dark.
I mean,
and
yeah.
it's kind of scary. They have like a giant fish skeleton hanging up there. It's in the Gloucester House.
Yes.
I drove by there yesterday and was like, huh. Haven't been in that
I
attic in a
wonder.
while. Yeah.
You got pizza, you're fine.
yeah, they give
that's
us
right.
like.
Yeah,
a
that's. I
lot
love
of
that you guys
boxes
do
of
that.
pizza.
It's like we're gonna put you in a cold, dark attic, but we'll give you pizza so you don't think of.
It evened it out.
Yeah.
Right.
pizza and drinks.
Fine.
Yeah,
And,
it's like, yeah.
and that's
You're
it.
all still here.
There's a piano up there actually, but
There
it's
is.
it's
Yeah.
Very out of tune.
out of tune,
Yeah.
and you should not play it.
No.
Yeah, I feel like if you played it, you'd like summon a demon or something.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
And honestly, it's events like that, and why I loved like the hybrid view of doing an educational band and a gigging band in high school. It's events like that, and as stressful as sometimes some of these festivals can be, like Arts Festival or Mill Street Walk, it's some of the best community outreach we ever do, ever. And so I know this might be a good time to transition into like favorite Docksider memories. Like my favorite Docksider memories are Middle Street Walk performances and wine and beer tasting performances. Mostly because, I'll do one and then the other. Wine and beer tasting is always fun because it's like parents and community members are drinking a little bit, so they're already having a good time.
A little loosey-goosey.
Senator Tarr comes down. Senator Bruce
Always
Tarr
late.
comes to
Yeah, for him.
help us
Aw.
auction off gift baskets, and he's hilarious, and he's a riot, and people are just yucking it up. Students get up, and you guys describe your baskets all very awkwardly,
Yep.
and he jokes with you, and it's awesome. And then Mill Street Walk is like one of our first major community appearances. I mean, we have the Fall Coffee House, but that's mostly like school community and parents and things like that. When we do Middle Street Walk and you guys perform, that to me is always the first time of the year that the band sounds like a group. And you all come
Yes.
together and play like your first real concert together. Yeah, and I love those. There have been at least 2 or 3 of those days where I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, what?
And that's with the band and the chorus. It's like
Yeah, chorus, same
It's
thing.
great.
Chorus that day, there's something special about Mill Street Walk. It's just a great time. And in the same season, I'll let you guys talk more about it, but tour day!
tour day.
Tour days.
Love it.
Oh, love
Oh my
tour
God.
days.
I think what I've taken away from the Docksiders is the things that everyone is collectively like, oh, I hate it. It's the things I've
We
enjoyed the
actually-
most.
Hey,
So it's like,
it
like
really
I
is.
hate pep band. Like, haha, yeah.
College
Like-
marching band is the same way. Everyone just moans and just like groans about college marching band, but their best memories
Yeah.
are from band and
Yeah.
the activities that you do in high school and college.
I think
Always.
I'm curious as to what it is for you two, but I think my favorite performance has to be the Shaylin though.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
I
because
was
it's the
gonna
last,
second
it's the last one,
How could I
especially
forget?
like it's the last,
Oh.
usually the last big one of the year. The weather's always nice and it's Rockport, so
We spend the day there.
yeah, pretty much. Everyone
spend the
gets out of
afternoon
school
there,
and
so much
goes
fun.
over and just walks. I think it's because it's one of the times that we have like the most time as a band to do stuff other than playing on stage.
Band
True.
bonding.
Yeah, band bonding essentially. Yeah.
It's actually a fun time. I mean,
It's
like
so
I
good.
don't talk
Yeah,
to
yeah.
a lot of people in the band. Like,
Especially
like,
now that we're
obviously-
seniors.
Yeah, I know all of them. We're friends and stuff through band and all of that. But like, when you have to spend an entire day with these people, you get to know them. Man, it's not the worst thing.
What a thing.
I know it's
What
crazy.
a time.
You have to interact.
You have to interact with people. I mean, unheard of right now, but you know,
Yeah.
like you
Seriously.
get to know these people that share a common interest in music as you do, and it's actually it's a fun time.
Fantastic.
It feels so long ago that we were
Yeah,
out
I
there
know.
on the
I
third
know.
floor of the
It
Shaylin
It makes
Low.
me. I think about it sometimes, and I actually feel kind of sad. Like
Yeah.
I get depressed.
Like, do you remember when
like,
we were underclassmen and like, you know, Christian and Rose and all
Yes.
Brian, all the other kids, I don't know, just like walking around up there before and
Yeah, I
after
love-
the
I
performance.
love
They were
that
kind
stuff.
of intimidating though, and now
Yeah, a little
that's
bit.
what we
My-
are.
Everybody's upperclassman. Every
Yeah.
upperclassman is intimidating.
I will say I was scared of Rose, and I'm sorry, Rose. You're a great person.
everyone.
Guaranteed, there are many underclassmen that look at the 3 of you and are like, I don't want to
Oh.
approach
Oh.
Tom.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
I
I-
guarantee people are afraid of me, but not for the reasons I think people are afraid of Rose. Because Rose was very like on top of everything and like you have to get this done and stuff like that. I was never afraid of Rose actually, but I can see where you're coming from. And then
She's
meanwhile,
just
I feel
very-
like
very firm in
Yeah.
her words.
meanwhile I think if anyone, any of the lower or like underclassmen are afraid of me, it's not because I'm like assertive or dominant. It's because I'm like
Tom.
I'm me. Yeah. I'm.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm sure that they're all terrified of big
I
scary
think it's
Tom.
more just like they don't want to come near me, probably. Would be the case. Like they'd rather not interact if they could.
Yeah, but it feels weird. Like, even though, of course, like we are upperclassmen now, and like, but I feel like we never really got the experience. I mean, because of COVID, the full experience, the other,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
like you were talking about the wine tasting, like presenting the baskets, like that was usually juniors and seniors.
Right.
So like, never
Yeah.
got to do that. Like, you know, and like,
kinda sad.
you know, we're talking about 20th anniversary of Docksiders. I'm the student director this year, and like a lot of the things that I would usually be responsible for just sort of, you know, don't
They
exist.
just don't happen
So,
right now. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a shame. It's like sort of a weird like fizzle out
Yeah.
ending to our like
That's
crazy
why-
Docksiders experience, which started for me personally in third grade when I moved to public schools, and I remember
Yes.
it was so weird. It's so weird to think that we tour now, but for people that don't know, the Docksiders, they go through and they do tour through all the elementary schools, which is what you guys were talking about, tour day.
Tour day.
Tour day,
Tour
baby.
day.
Yeah, and I think that's probably all 3 of our first.
Oh yeah,
memories
I
of
remember
Docksiders.
seeing them and
Oh,
being
me
like,
too.
whoa.
Yeah, like they are the coolest
That was when
people
Mr.
ever.
Adams
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah. Yep.
Sometimes it was like Mr. Benjamin too, but
Yeah.
that
For
was
real?
only when I think he came to West Parish one time
Oh, cool.
with the Docksiders, but I don't know.
And
It's a long time ago.
the flip
Long
side
time
of
ago.
this, though, which is insane, is I've said it multiple times, but I work at a summer camp, and I have kids who recognize me. And one time on tour day, after we played, I think it was Beeman, and maybe it was Beeman.
Okay.
2 kids came up to me and they were like, "Hi, Tom." I was like,
Nice.
"That's cool." And they were like, "Can I
You're
touch?
that kid
Can I
that
touch
plays
the thing?"
Your clarinet.
Yeah, yeah. So glad that they found
That-
it. Like,
that
oh,
clarinet
you,
that's
pl-
one
you
of
play
the-
this one? I remember they asked, like, "Why is yours different from the rest?"
And that's one of the cooler things that I love for you all to experience on tour day. go into the elementary schools is that you guys get to experience being rock stars.
Mhm.
Like for the music department goes, usually every October we go out to UMass Amherst and go see multi-bands,
Yeah.
which we see all of UMass Amherst large ensembles and their marching band. And for them, it's the same thing. For, first graders through high school to get to see them and be like,
Yeah.
college students.
Wow.
It's the same thing for the elementary schools. You guys experienced it. Like, high schoolers, they're so cool.
And then we are
And
one,
now
and
that's you.
We're
And
like,
you get to experience that.
Yeah.
It's like, wow,
It's really weird to
this is
change,
sick.
because I remember a time when 8th graders were full-grown
Yeah.
adults.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I saw an 8th grader, and I was just like, that's
That's-
maximum age and human.
I will never
It's so
reach
crazy to
past
think
that.
like now
Yeah.
an 8th grader to us is like, a middle schooler. It
Child.
feels, it's crazy.
A
Yeah.
child.
Straight up a child.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'll look at ourselves now when we're
Like,
graduating
wow, you're a
college and be
child.
like, we
You're-
knew
you-
nothing. And
Yep.
it's all documented on a YouTube channel.
It's,
Hooray.
that's pretty much how it feels.
No, it's true.
Is it?
Okay.
Just keeps happening and then we
Mr. D, 20 years.
Oh my
you have to
God.
boil it down to one of your favorite memory
Oh, no.
or one of your favorite memories. Let's say
Oh
one
my
of.
God. No, that's hard.
Would it be easier if you chose like a favorite performance or something like that?
That's also hard.
Top
They've,
three.
they've done
Seriously,
three.
like,
They
I'll
literally
give-
went
I'll-
to Hawaii.
yeah,
Yeah.
cannot be counted.
On a
Like,
cruise.
I'll say, yeah. Well, I will say that probably the most important performance this band ever did was we played on the USS Arizona in Hawaii,
Crazy.
which was absolutely phenomenal. Now, unfortunately, I was not on that
No.
ship that day.
What a beautiful memory.
I
no.
was not. I actually was taking the bass player to the hospital
oh no.
because the bass player was not feeling well.
Oh, God.
So I had to go and tend to that that day. But regardless, like it was really phenomenal. You couldn't have asked for a better moment for the band. Because we went to Hawaii, we were communicating every day with the community. Mm-hmm. Every day I had an article in the paper about us, because again, what this community did to help us at that time was unbelievable.
True.
You got to realize we raised $70,000 for not one person to pay for that trip.
How many students went?
Imagine.
I want to say between 20 to 25
Yeah.
went.
Right.
So it's like, but this community was just our biggest supporter. And that's why we say, no matter where it's Hawaii, the cruise, Disney, wherever we've been, this is the place we go back to because this is the place that's just been so supportive of us. But that performance was just, I mean, from what I've heard and what I've seen, it was just one of those moments where the people on board were just so appreciative of hearing jazz of that time. Because we did a lot of set at that time of Glenn Miller, some of the songs from that time era, and the crew was very appreciative, and because they were so wanting of that, they literally asked the host of that day, they took the flag that was on that ship that day, the American flag, and they presented it to the band.
Oh wow.
And that's not something normally that they do. And we do still have that.
Oh
We
yeah,
have
it's
a-
in my office.
Yeah, we have a plaque that was given along with the actual flag flown that day on the USS Arizona.
Wow.
That
That's
is
crazy.
actually pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was just unbelievable.
There's a couple of cool things like that are in my office, like that flag, and
Yep.
There's
the first picture. There's that huge picture
yeah.
of there. That was from the very first performance we ever did, which was in Disney. We played at the Starlight Cafe in Tomorrowland. And
He's
what
gonna
was
tell
really
the story.
yes,
Tell the story.
tell the story.
Mr. Adams' favorite story, from what I understand.
It is. But what was the most interesting part is that the fact that the band, if you don't know, Disney is actually 2 levels. There's actually a whole bottom level that is the interconnected throughout the entire park.
That is terrifying.
Yeah,
It
that's a
is.
little
Wha-
scary.
What's gone down
It's
in
like
there? I don't
there's a
know.
lot that that I learned about Disney that I never knew, and that's one of them. Like there's a whole bottom connection.
It's a city and a sub-city.
Right. It literally is. It's like
God.
there's like almost like two Disneys, and you just don't know it.
Go talk to Miss Kirk. She'll tell you all.
Yeah, she knows all about that too. But the band had to go down and set themselves up for the stage, because when they started playing, they rose from the bottom floor
that's sick.
up to the top.
That's sick.
That's cool.
And so first of all, I didn't know that until I saw it. And I was like, oh my God, because I was in the control booth at the time with all the engineers and the sound people. And
So you're probably like, where is the band? They're late.
yeah, I know, right? Come on, let's go. And but the people in there they were blown away. There were people who they stopped what they're doing. People were watching intently, and it's like you think that at a food establishment, because that's pretty much what it is. It's a food place that we're just gonna watch this. That's not what happened. Like, people were stopping. People were coming in. I could see it. People were coming in and just sitting down, not even eating, watching this. And I was like, what's going on? Like, and so as it went on and kept going, and like people just glued to the band, and we're like, I'm sitting there like, this is not what I thought. And so then when it ended, they got to go back down, and there were people who stormed the stage to watch them go down. And
That's insane.
The person who was the tour guide, our tour person for it, goes, that's never happened. Like, that's never happened to any band, no matter who's been on that stage. No one's ever done that.
My God.
So that there's a
We're famous.
Oh yeah.
It's funny how
Big deal.
you can say that, but it's like, this, you can go around this town and people will know who you are because of the reputation, because of what you've done for this community and what has happened. It's really amazing. It's more than just playing the music. It really is. It's more than just, we're gonna go play a concert, and whether it's the coffee house or whether it's the wine tasting, people know who you are. And the reputation that has always been set forth from this group has been that's why it's been one of the most popular groups in the school, and that's why people, kid you not, like, it's amazing that this group has been able to contribute as much as it has to not just the school, but to this, this community. People know it, and they love to hear you. They love to talk about you, and it's just awesome, and I'm again, it's just, you can't really get a lot of that sometimes from other experiences, but from this, so that picture that we were alluding to was, everybody had signed it all the way around. If you look at the outer frame of it, everybody in the first band signed it, and they gave it to Mr. Adams as like one of his gifts from that year. Again, pretty special. And Mr. Menezes is on that one. If you go and see it, you will see his name.
There's a handful of K-Band Big Band members.
Yep.
Current K-Band Big Band
Nick
members.
Capello,
on that.
Sean Lowe,
Sean Lowe, yeah.
Carlos. I'm trying to see if
Were
there's-
they seniors
Lantini
at the
on
time? Were they?
No, he was when it first started. They were all. Mr. Menezes was a freshman, because I know
Oh,
he
wow.
was in it, like, at least for 3 years. He was in it for most of the time.
Is Mike Lantini in that band?
Mike Lantini was in it. Yeah,
Okay.
he was in that band. Yeah, that's, and that's what's awesome. I mean, when Mr. Adams and I talk about it, it's like, it's really cool that Mr. Menezes started the K-Band Big Band, because it's like, it's just really cool to know that he did something to, as sort of like, he remembers what he went through with this, and that he was able to then take his own style, his own perspective, and make this band. And that's really, that's, again, it's the legacy of what this band has been able to do, and to be able to do something like that is just, that's awesome. Like, that's really, as I said, he is a phenomenal player, and when he was here, it's like, oh my God, like, you could just see the how much he loved playing and how much he wanted to be a part of this, and it was just, and there's so many others like that. Like, again, there's so many people that I know that how much they loved music and how much they enjoyed it and wanted to be a part of it, and but again, oh my God, there's just so many. there's so many memories. There's so many people. There's so many good times, and it's hard to just start pinpointing every single one because it is 20 years worth
20
of.
whole years.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a few.
Out of the past 20 years.
Just a
At a
few.
time.
Yeah, as old as Tom is.
As
As
old as
Tom.
Yep.
Exactly.
All right.
Look at the time.
Wow,
And
man.
Oh my God, the
Gotta
segment's
go.
over. The show is over.
Darn it.
Take us out, Tom.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this episode of Fisherman Fridays, there will be another one, and it will be episode 7. That's how numbers work. This is episode 6, and episode 7 is the next one. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Ivan, what should they do to that like button?
Absolutely destroy its family. And no, just tap it. Just tap it. Just a little. That's all you
The
really
button
need.
has a family.
Yeah. Yep.
We're getting some lore behind
Yeah,
that
destroy
button.
its hopes and dreams. and then also
Crush it.
subscribe.
Yeah.
Also do that. Turn post
Be a big
notifications on.
Yeah, the little bell. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys know what it is because a lot of you don't seem to have it on, but you go and touch it, and then it tells you when we upload.
Touch it.
Yep.
With your finger if you're on mobile. All right, can we get
There
through an
you go.
episode without doing ASMR? It does
Sorry.
not seem like it. But
I
yes,
hate it. I hate
this
it.
is the end of the episode. If you guys enjoyed, abuse the button and
Respectfully abuse.
respectfully, positively
Why are we
abuse the
abusing
button.
it?
We will see you
Respectfully.
next time. Until then, I've been Tom,
I'm Martina.
I'm Mr. Flurry.
I'm Mr. DePietro.
I'm Ivan.
and this has been Fisherman Fridays. See ya.